Namaste. My name is Neelima. Welcome to Reflections Along the Way podcast, where you will be listening to reflections from experiences and learnings along my life's journey. In this episode, we'll learn about a realized person, what he thinks, how he acts, and so on. As spiritual students, the sole goal for us is to discover the supreme truth, the ultimate reality at the core of our being. In order to understand a self-realized person, we have to observe how he acts in the world, how he sees the world, how he reacts to the problems, and how he sees himself in relation to the world. A person of steady wisdom, who is known as Stithaprajna in Sanskrit, is a dynamic individual who does not need to retire from the community. He is one who keeps his composure rooted in pure consciousness in the midst of turbulence and intense activity. He acts in the world with total freedom. He's not depending or demanding anything as a master of all the situations. We don't fully see the beauty in such people until a Vedanta teacher gives us a little bit of a vague description of a person of wisdom. Then we begin to appreciate such a person who is totally free, full of love, forgiveness, kindness, compassion at all times. And he lives his values uncompromisingly in the midst of all the worldly things that are constantly changing. In Vivekachudamani, there are several verses which indicate the characteristics of a man of perfection. Verse number 433 in Vivekachudamani states that a Jeevanmukta, or a liberated one while living, is one who has no thoughts about the enjoyments of the past or future and is also indifferent to the present. He doesn't care to waste time thinking about the past and he's not worrying about the future. We are generally very anxious about the present because we want to gain happiness or satisfaction from various things. The person who is reveling in the truth, whose source of joy is within himself, is totally indifferent to the things and the way they are arranged at any particular time. If they are there, it's fine. If they are not there, never mind. That's the attitude he has. So he's not concerned about the present also. Now, the world is by its nature pluralistic. There are good and bad, noble and wicked, and so on. All are mixed together. In this seeming plurality, the enlightened one sees only the manifestation of that one reality. One who has realized self realizes the same self everywhere. The I in one particular form is bad person and I in another form is a good person. The goodness and badness, they're only the textures in the mind. The enlightening principle behind both the minds is the self. Just like different bulbs may have different colors based on the nature of the color of the bulb, but the electricity that is passing through all the bulbs is the same. People are bad or wicked because of the false values with which they live their life. No matter what kind of life one is living, life is one, self is one. Each individual possesses their own qualities, good, bad, indifferent. When we look at the world from the level of body, mind, and intellect, then we start giving validation to the world in that level. We run away from what we perceive as bad things and move towards what we perceive as good things. We love some, we hate some, there are likes and dislikes, and it is natural at this level. But the man of steady wisdom is one who realizes that all these different forms and names are nothing but the expression of that one infinite reality. He sees divinity in and through everything, through good, through wickedness, always seeing the same one only. Such a person doesn't hate anything, nor does he have any attachments to anything. While we are bouncing between joy and sorrow constantly, based on the situations we are in. The liberated one neither cries nor dances. He is equanimous in all situations because of his experience of the self. Established in the self, he has the luxury of watching the play of the world, like watching a movie, being completely unaffected. In a dream, let's say the dreamer was in situations that he's afraid of and that made him unhappy. When he wakes up, from the waker's standpoint, there is no dream, there's no dreamer, there's no bad situations. They no longer exist. Everything has merged into the waker. In the same way, for a person of realization who is enjoying the bliss of a higher state of consciousness, there is no concept of within and without. There's no concept of inner and outer. All thoughts are engaged in experiencing that bliss. Inner and outer are only with reference to the body. A realized person no longer recognizes the reality of the body. So when there's no reference to body, then where is the question of within or without? As long as we are identified with our limited individual egos, identified with our bodies, we talk of the inner self and the outer world of situations and experiences. From the standpoint of a realized person, there's no longer inner and outer, as the ego has merged with the self. His experience is of all-pervading consciousness alone, like the sky or space, which is always present everywhere. A realized person does not have a sense of possession, like this is my body, these are my senses, and he needs nothing else to be fulfilled, as he is completely satisfied with the inner bliss he is experiencing. Actions are performed by body, but there's no sense of I am performing these actions. In verse number 439 of Vivekachudamani, Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji says, he who has no ego with regard to the body, the sense organs and so on, nor has the concept of this with regard to other things, he is considered a liberated person. Just like when we wake up from the dream, we are liberated from all the sorrows of the dream. One who is awakened to the reality is liberated from all the sorrows of the plurality. We see things as distinct from oneself through the sense organs pointing out as this, this, this. For a self-realized person, this distinction is not there. As he doesn't identify with the body or the senses, everything is merged into one. For a liberated person, the realization is that the self in him is the self everywhere. The changeless essence in him, Atman, is the same as the substratum of the whole universe, Brahman. Brahman is playing as the pluralistic phenomenon world with different names and forms. This is the vision he has. It is similar to how we realize when we wake up that the dreamer, the dream and the waker are one and the same. There is no distinction. A person who realizes that the individual ego, Jiva, the universe Jagat and the Lord, Ishvara, are all merged into one, is a Jeevanmukta, one who is liberated while living. Now we float on the clouds in joy when we are praised or respected or when we get what we want. And we are filled with sorrow and dejection when we are insulted, disrespected, or we don't get what we want. We are going through these ups and downs constantly in life as per the situations of life. A person of steady wisdom is equipoised, balanced, and undisturbed, always the same. He's forgiving, loving, understanding, calm, and compassionate in all situations. We lose our balance because we are identified with our body, mind, and intellect, which are constantly changing. Whereas the realized person who has ended all his identifications and is awakened to the higher reality remains equipoised even when he is expressing through the body, mind, and intellect equipment, because he's not in the equipment is in him. A realized person has already found infinite happiness, and hence there's no more desire for anything else. Objects may or may not be offered to him by devotees, but he's never excited or has desire for these objects. The objects may come and go. Just like the many waves in the ocean make no difference to the ocean, similarly, objects may come to the liberated person and nothing happens because he is abiding in pure consciousness. The common factor we observe in all liberated souls is the peace and tranquility. They are not disturbed by any situation whatsoever, being liberated from the bondage of the body, mind, and intellect. Abiding in self, they are serene and fulfilled, ever compassionate and ready to give love to others. Thank you for listening to today's reflections. If you would like to connect with me, please visit bluishmuse.com. Until next time, Namaste.